Alright, this is Cole in the Aspie, back with I do believe it will be episode technically 3 right now. And this episode is going to be on hygiene. But before we get into that, I've been having a hard time getting into doing these videos. So I figured I might share a little funny story that happened with me. So, maybe some of you remember, maybe some of you don't. This guy from my last video. So the reason why he's missing an arm right now. A couple days ago, I've been taking him to work because I've been enjoying messing around with him. I pick him up at the table, and I had a couple of guns in his hands. I want to take him out. So I take the gun out of this hand, and I snap the hand off completely. It's like... So I can fix that. But then my eyes go down, and I notice that his feet... I don't know if you can see, they're ball jointed on. You could pop them off. You're not supposed to, but you can. His feet were missing. It's like... So I didn't have time to look for them, so I grabbed his box, I put him back in his box, I went to work. The whole time on my way to work, I was just a punch in my chest, and the punch didn't get pulled away. I was really stressing out. Because I can't replace that guy. That's an $80 figure. And now I have an $80 figure that's dropped from $80 to $30 shipped if I'm lucky, if I decide to resell him. So I get to work and my coworkers are like, what's wrong? What's wrong? It's like, well, I tell them, and like, can't you just buy another transformer? It's an $80 transformer. Okay, never mind. So I get home and I take apart my my headboard where my pillows are. Couldn't find it. I pull the whole bed off, the whole blanket off, and there they are, placed at the, wait for it, foot of my bed. So I find the feet, I can fix the hand, I'm happy now, okay, but in what fevered, delusional, whacked out dream did I think, hey, let's pick up my $80 transformer, who I had in like a kneeling, down on one knee pose, pop his feet off, and put them at the foot of my bed underneath my blanket. Better question. In what fevered dream did I think, yeah, that's not a bad idea? So, yeah. Ah, crap. Okay, so, getting into my subject on hygiene. Now, let me start this off with, all opinions and all these stories in this video are mine and not meant to reflect on others or diagnose, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So, I've heard from some people on Facebook that they have problem getting their 8, 9, 10-year-old child who has been diagnosed as Asperger's syndrome to take a damn shower, take a damn bath, etc., etc., wear clean clothing. I had a friend of mine I was actually talking about this subject with say, well, it should be do what I tell you to do. See, that line of thinking isn't going to work, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, because if you say do what I tell you to do for the sake of doing what I tell you to do, it's going to start a big old argument. My coworker's reaction to getting a kid to take a bath is make it fun. Okay, yeah, that works fine and well for, 4 or 5-year-old, yeah, but 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, etc., you should be able to take your own bath, right? Take your own shower. That was, I can speak from personal experience, a problem I had. Now, I'm going to share some examples, and then I'm going to get into some solutions, like I've done in other videos. Getting me into the bath was like pulling teeth. But once I got into the bath, I didn't want to get out of the bath. Go figure that one. Then, later on, there was an issue. Somebody mentioned about getting their kid to wipe themselves properly. I do believe I've mentioned in other videos that, yes, I was the victim of child molestation growing up. Well, it's something I learned much later on, that when a child is a victim of child molestation, they will do whatever they can to control their life. And one thing is controlling their bowel movements. I will not go to the bathroom. I'm refusing to. Well, in my case, that actually led to me being a 8-year-old kid. Well, no, younger than that. 6, 7-year-old kid crapping my pants. So I would like to say, make sure before you get on the issue of your child not wiping themselves properly, before you get to the issue of them potentially crapping their pants, pardon the crudeness, make sure there's not an outside issue. Make sure it's not a bigger problem. Okay? Last thing is, when I was going to middle school, I got attached to outfits. I remember for about a month, I wore the same corduroy. I loved corduroy for some reason. Corduroy pants, the same white long sleeve shirt, military style zip up boots, and a lambskin or sheepskin vest with the leather brown on the outside with the wool on the inside. I love that outfit. I don't know why, I just liked it. Well, I always get teased and harassed, are you poor, are you this? No, I like the outfit. And I would retort with, I wash it every night. They knew I was bullshitting because the shirt would slowly turn grayer and grayer and grayer and grayer. So, yeah. So those are examples from my own life about how I've been, bad about hygiene. And even to this day, I'm not that very good on getting my hygiene done. As you can see in some of my videos, my hair is greasy, and I may not be properly shaved, and yeah. But, I'm grown up now, and I know how to use air for aerosols, etc. But I have my roommate sometimes being like, Colin, you gotta take a damn shower. You freaking smell. Sorry, I go take a shower, it's getting into the habit of showering every day. I usually end up showering every other day, but it's dragging myself to do it because I get into the habit. It's the problem, forming habits, always doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. For a while there, I'd get paid, my money would be in my account. Next minute, it'd be 3 in the morning. I'm going to go to Walmart and go shopping. That's what I did. Well, whenever I'd get up and go shopping at 3 in the morning, I'd get back at like 5 in the morning, and I'd be waking my landlady up or my roommates up, and it's like, Coleman, come on, can't you do this at a different time? So I moved it to, instead of going out Friday morning at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd go shopping Saturday morning at I get off work at midnight. So I'd go shopping then, come home, there you go. It works fine. Well, usually I work in Chino, I drive back home to Marina Valley, I go shopping, gas, go home. Well, I've gotten to the habit of shopping in Chino now, and my habits have shifted. You get into a rut doing the same thing over and over and over again. Just like I talk over and over. So, backing up. Solutions. Okay? Bathing solutions. You got your 9, 10-year-old kid not wanting to take a bath, not wanting to take a shower. Hey, Johnny, you go take a shower and you get done in about 10, 15 minutes, whatever your definition is, and don't hold them to the letter, but, roundabout, and I'll give you this little fun-sized candy bar. When my mother was potty training me when I was like 1, 2 years old, it was, same thing. Hey, Colin, you do X and you'll get some Skittles. I love Skittles. I love Skittles to this day even. And that worked. I was potty trained. And then later on, the other issues happened and they didn't think, well, maybe there's something wrong. It's another story for another time. So, yeah. But eventually you gotta pull the treat away. Eventually they're going to get into the routine of, hey, I do this, I get that, I do this, I get that, I do this, I get that. Well, eventually it's got to be understood, hey, Johnny, you're supposed to be doing that anyways, so you're not getting the treat anymore. It might break up into an argument. It might get into an issue. You gotta be firm on this, though. I will give you that. Okay. Now the other problem, and this gets a little creepy here, so I'm gonna kind of tiptoe around this subject a little bit. Making sure they properly bathe themselves. You're the adult. You're the parent. If you're gonna stand there in the bathroom and make sure that they've washed their hair, washed their pits, washed their privates, do it. Make sure they're doing the job right. Okay. And once they're doing the job right, then you don't got to be there anymore. One thing my mom would always do is I'd always say, yeah, I washed my hair. And she'd, if you wash your hair, why is your hair bone dry? Yeah. So, the wiping issue. I really don't know. See, nowadays, whenever I go to the bathroom, I am really, pardon the term, anal retentive about making sure that I am really clean down there. I don't know how you as a parent is going to check if your child has properly wiped themselves, other than really just reminding, hey, you made sure to wipe yourself, right? Hey, you made sure to wipe yourself, right? Let me back up for a second, okay? If you get into the habit of, do this, you get the treat, do this, get the treat. Make sure it stays as positive reinforcement, not do this, get the treat, oh, you didn't do that, well, you get punished instead. That's going to backfire real quick, I guarantee you, okay? It's actually a bit of a side tangent to a point. I can't remember who told this story originally. I heard it on the radio, I believe. And it was, yeah, I'm a single father. This is the guy telling the story, okay? I'm a single father. I have my son, and every night before he goes to bed, I put him to bed, and I rub his shoulders, helps him relax. I talk to him, it's a little bonding moment. It's great, Well, one day, my son misbehaved really badly, and this is the good one, okay? Damn it, Johnny! I'm going to use the name Johnny a lot, yes, it's an easy one to use. He stops, he walks away, calms down. He comes back, hey, Johnny, you misbehaved really badly. You shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to have to punish you. I'm going to spank you. He spanked his child calmly. He didn't do it out of anger. It's one thing I really want you guys to remember, because punishing in anger isn't good for dealing with an Aspie and isn't good for dealing with any children, because then it confuses it, My dad's angry, my parents angry, and hitting me. I don't know why he's angry. So, explain calmly. Punish calmly. Well, I like this part of the story, okay? Later on that night, putting the son to bed. Hey, Daddy, aren't you going to rub my shoulders? You really like you want to rub your shoulders, don't you? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You misbehaved really badly today. You don't deserve it. If you behave tomorrow, I'll rub your shoulders again for you, okay? See, the connection was made. Behave good, get good. Now eventually it does get to the point of, there are certain things you're expected to do you don't get rewarded for. I'm expected to get up every morning, go to work. I don't get, my reward for going to work is I get paid, The last one would be dress, outfits, clothing. I told you about that outfit that I wore. Not only did I wear the same clothing every day, I wore the same underwear and same socks. The reason my mom let me do it is because she just wasn't going to get into the argument over it. Alright. Well, after I've been going by about a month or so, she sat me down, said, Colin, you can't wear the same clothes to school every day. But I like this clothing, you know what? That may be, you're not going to wear it every day. So here's what we're going to do. Beginning of each week, you're going to pick out a pair of pants and a pair of shirts. Pants and a shirt. And we're going to match that up with socks and underwear. And we're going to put that to the side. We're going to put aside 5 days worth of clothing. And when you come home and you're going to go to bed, you're going to take off your clothes. I'm taking those clothes. Your hamper is outside. You're giving me those clothes. You're going to put them in the hamper. And eventually, after a while, I put them in the hamper. Okay. And then the next morning when she came in to wake me up, here you go. She tossed the clothes on my bed. Get up, get dressed. I get dressed in the only clothing I had available, because the rest of my clothing was pulled out of my room. And there you go. And eventually it got to the point where I'd take my clothes off, I put them in the hamper, I put new clothing on, and to this day, when I wake up in the morning, I gotta change but before I go to bed, I change my underwear. When I get up in the morning, I put on clean socks. I put on a clean undershirt. The only thing I reuse and use is my pants, my uniform pants. But those I wash every week. That's the other problem. Okay, I mentioned routine earlier. Weekly routines are a bit harder because it's not being drilled in as much. It's not an everyday occurrence. Boom, boom, boom. It's bigger gaps. So it's going to be the same thing, make it a positive reinforcement system with weekly routines, like doing one's own laundry. So, yeah, I hope this helped. Treats to encourage, regular showering, positive reinforcement. Again, I really don't know how to tackle the wiping properly one. But controlling clothing, get the solid routine going. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed my little funny story at the beginning about my oh my god moment with my expensive transformer. And this has been Cole and the Aspie saying thanks for watching.